I'm in the wrong one. Oh no, hello everybody. Welcome. We are here, and I have a special guest today. It is Brandon Victor.
Hello.
Brandon Victor is a long-running member of our community and one of the very many Gamers Heaven lifetime members. Brandon has the fancy metal membership card that you get from that place. You may see Brandon on the Discord from time to time as Ishnatal. That is his thing. Brandon also runs our trivia events every other Thursday, and we got more trivia night next Thursday.
Yes.
But in the interest of getting folks in here, we want to do some community highlights. So Brandon, thanks for coming in today.
Thanks for having me, Alex.
It's going to be a lot of fun. We got some interesting stuff. Hey, Dog Dad, how are you today? Don't forget, we have draft tonight. We have Pioneer tomorrow and Friday, and I talked to the distributor this morning, Commander Masters. And so we're going to do some Commander Masters drafts this weekend. We also have the Store Championship. It is also happening this weekend. So we're going to get all that stuff going.
Oh,
So,
I forgot about that.
As always, if you are in the YouTube or the Twitch chat and you have some stuff, hey Kelsey, how are you? And you have some topics you want us to talk about, stuff that you saw in the news or on the various interwebs like X and Threads and TikTok, you can go and drop those in the chat right there, and we'll try and get to those toward the end of the show. Okay, so again, if you have any topics you want us to talk about, we are happy to do that.
We'll talk about whatever.
We'll talk about everything. We like it. So, and it's also nice to not be sitting in this room all by myself.
I'm keeping Alex company today.
All by myself. So, all by yourself is terrible. All right. So, our first topic today, Brandon and I both talked about this because this one blew up on TikTok over the last day or so.
It did.
Obviously, we know the One Ring was found by somebody. Apparently, he cracked it at his FLGS in Canada, right? And it was the One Ring. But now we have an update.
Yeah. So he sold it to Post Malone.
He sold it to Post Malone.
He sold it to Post Malone. He after he cracked it, and he was visibly shaking, because I've seen a couple of his TikToks about this. He was visibly shaking. One of the first things he said is, "I want to meet Post Malone." So
now, Post Malone is a longtime Magic player, is a collector, and is somebody who actually, this is not somebody who's doing this for just investment purposes, things like that. But Post Malone was super excited. So last night on TikTok, this again kind of blew up. They had a video of him and Post Malone, I think at one of Post Malone's shows.
Yeah, I think it was backstage at one of Post Malone's shows.
Right, and they're both posing with the One Ring in its graded little slabbed piece.
I still can't believe it got a 9. That's hilarious.
It was already Pringling when they showed it.
Yeah.
It's a near mint 9. But Post Malone now has One Ring. As for how rich he is, which somebody in the chat is asking about, I have not seen any information. Have you about how much?
No, not at all.
Post paid him for it.
I know that Post Malone was talking about offering, over $1 million for it.
I know the high water one that was published was a $2 million offer from someone in Spain.
Yeah.
But I haven't seen anything about.
I don't think that got disclosed, and honestly, I don't think that guy is ever going to talk about how much he got from that.
And I'll be honest, I honestly don't think it's anybody's business, right?
Yeah.
Because here's the thing, he sold it, and you and I were talking about this in the pre-show. Post is again a player. Like he likes, this is something he's into. This is not
actual player. He's not just collecting for the sake of collecting.
Right.
It's not like an art piece that is going to go up on the wall and he doesn't have any sort of concept of what the words on it mean.
Yeah.
So
even if he cut Post Malone a deal,
right?
You know what I mean, and maybe sold it to him for like 1.2 or 1.3 million. I mean, that's still much more money than you had the day before. You got to go to a Post Malone show. You got to hang out with the guy. You got to do this thing. Somebody in the YouTube chat saying 2.6 million is what Post paid. Again, I haven't seen any official confirmation.
Wouldn't it be a kick in the pants if he had to buy a ticket to get to the concert to give the...
Somehow I think Post Malone probably comped him a backstage pass.
Oh yeah, probably. But
Hey,
Still.
bring me the One Ring in person, right? You know, let's go. Post isn't a crypto bro who's buying cards as an investment. That's YouTube
Yeah.
chat. Yeah, I 100% agree. And again, I'm super happy for these guys. I mean, it's kind of a fun story.
A lot of the One Ring stuff could have gone completely wrong, right? Because this is
It's a weird gimmick.
This is the best case scenario. An actual player of Magic, a person at their FLGS, opened up the One Ring, and then they sold it to another player of Magic that just so happens to have money. Where this could have gone down this rabbit hole of it was open by
a backpack seller who,
someone that they just have a shelf filled with cards that they're selling on TCG Player, and that's all that they've got as an investment, and then sell it to the highest bidder, who then has nothing to do with anything. Like, it's everything that happened was 100% the best way it could have happened.
And I'm glad it didn't break early. This is another thing I was talking to one of our distributors about this morning, where we were talking about, I'm like, dude, I'm already seeing Commander Masters out in the wild, right? Like, I'm seeing TikTok people doing crackbait things, and he's like, look, he goes, a lot of the distributors aren't doing their due diligence.
Yep.
Wizards' policy, and he confirmed this for me today, you are supposed to have a brick and mortar store in order to get the cards. But a lot of the distributors are not doing the due diligence that they're supposed to do, which is how these backpack sellers get it ahead of time, which is how all this stuff ends up out in the wild so early. And the fact that Wizards doesn't have a map price and everything else, like, it's just a stinking mess.
Oh, it's a huge mess.
And it bugs me quite a bit.
Yep. Yeah.
Come on, do better, Wizards. But yes, this went really, really well.
It did. And
it's also like very like almost like sweet. Like, it's, you can see the looks on everybody's faces in that TikTok video. If you haven't seen the video, I recommend going to check it out. It's
no Pinkerton agents.
We've talked about that before. You can go see our stuff on March of the Machine Aftermath. I have a feeling I know why Wizards' reaction, specifically for that set getting out of the wild so early, was what it was. Go back to our YouTube channel and check that out. And if you haven't, go subscribe to us on YouTube, because we always want to get more YouTube subscribers. We're trying to beat that pesky algorithm. Stupid algorithm.
Yeah, I got to get more viewers than PewDiePie.
Good luck to us.
Yeah. Hey, have a goal to shoot for, right?
There you go. All right. Once again, if you have any topics you want us to talk about today in the chat, please drop them into the chats on either Twitch or YouTube, and we will look at them for later in the show. Okay. Our second topic. Obviously, we've had some problems lately with coming up with topics because entertainment news has dried up with the dual strikes, right? You watched the thing there.
Oh, it's bad.
It's bad.
There's the two strikes, the writer's strike and then the actor's strike.
Which the actors one effectively shut down Hollywood.
Yeah.
Once it was done. The WGA, they were still filming. But now they're like, all right, well, we're done now.
Those two, Hollywood stopped. It just stopped. And then, of course, on the back of that, a whole bunch of other places started striking, and you started seeing layoffs in a lot of places.
And it affected
a bunch of
huge
stuff.
chunks of their economy down there.
Yeah.
Well, we got some good news, and that's that the WGA and the AMPTP are actually going to meet for the first time since. So the WGA went on strike on, I believe, May 2nd. They're almost, I think they're day 80 something of their strike right now.
They're way far in.
But we get this one from Deadline. Deadline says, hey, they're actually going to sit down and talk. And so I think that that's good news.
I think so too. Hopefully that means that they're going to reach an agreement, and with them just
it'll
hopefully
start
help
the ball rolling.
Because this is, I think, the last time that both of these groups have been on strike at the same time was in the 60s.
Yes. And do you know who the SAG president was at that time, the head of SAG?
Oh, no, I
Come
don't.
on, this is trivia.
Yeah, but I'm horrid with names.
The last time that SAG and the WGA went on strike at the same time, Ronald Reagan was the head of
Yes, you're right.
SAG.
You're right, Ronald Reagan.
Because everybody forgets that Reagan was an actor,
Yep.
right? It's, everybody forgets. He was an actor before he became governor of California. So, yeah, I think this is a good sign. I'm really, really hoping. Now, SAG actually put out a statement after it came out that the WGA is going to meet with the AMPTP. SAG is like, yo, hey, we'd like to meet too. Why aren't you talking to us? What's going on? I think they're probably doing this in order. That would be my guess.
That kind of is what it feels like to me. That and you talked about this a little bit in the pre-show that the AMPTP saw exactly how much was going into the fund.
Yeah, that's the other big piece of this story.
Yeah.
I'm going to pull that headline up really quick. So to support the thing, what they've got is they've got the Entertainment Community Fund. And so basically what that's there to do is when they strike or when something's going on, they have this to support people who are out of work. The names that I've seen, so we know The Rock he was the first one through the thing.
Yep.
Right? The Rock donated a 7-figure sum. Seth MacFarlane donated $1 million. Right? And then the other names that I saw, hang on, I'm going to see if I can find it. Leonardo DiCaprio, right? A bunch of the big A-list people. Here we go. Wow, here we go. All right, so the following people have donated at least $1 million to the community fund. George and Amal Clooney, Luciana and Matt Damon, Leonardo DiCaprio, Hugh Jackman, Dwayne and Rock Johnson, Nicole Kidman, Jennifer Lopez and Ben Affleck, Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively, Julia Roberts, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Meryl Streep, and Oprah Winfrey. All of these people just dumped cash into the AMPTP, or not the AMPTP, to the Entertainment Community Fund. And we'd seen in the headline where they were like, they kind of leaked it, where the producers were like, well, we'll just wait them out until they start losing houses and apartments.
That's not going to happen. Yeah. Now,
and Hollywood's A-list went, want to bet?
Yeah. Because everyone, that's hilarious. Every one of the actors knows that all of those writers write things that make them look good and sound real smart, right?
Barbenheimer being a big example of this. Great writing, good stuff.
Amazing. And then it was acted well and directed well, edited well, right? Whole bunch of just a whole bunch of support all around for those movies made stellar products. But
I wasn't going to touch on this, but I'm going to do it because the chat brought it up.
Yeah.
Did I see that Stephen Amell said he doesn't support the strike, he supports the union but not the strike? I did see that headline. Here's my nickel thoughts on that. Stephen Amell, he's part of the union. He's not, as far as I know, he hasn't crossed the picket lines, and he's doing his thing. He is absolutely allowed to have his opinion about the effectiveness and the use of strikes, right, as a negotiating tactic. I firmly disagree with him.
I'm with you on that one.
And the labor history movement, go look at the history of labor in this country, and labor unions, and this has been kind of the shtick.
We've had problems with labor unions in the past, which has made a lot of the country non-union.
Yep.
Because of all of these
right to work
fears
and all
everything.
this stuff.
However, unionizing is coming back again, and we'll talk about this in a little bit. I think there's been a big push in a couple industries where it has never been before.
Yeah, and I think we're going to hit that in the next segment.
But yeah, I don't understand the concept of I support the union but not the strike, because part of being in a union
is having that ability to use that tactic.
Yeah. And still keeping your job safe, right? It helps protect you.
I would like to say that he's speaking out of ignorance and not malice. I mean, I like Stephen Amell as an actor. I loved him on Arrow and in the whole Arrowverse. Okay, I thought he was a great Green Arrow. I'm a huge fan of his. Yeah, someone else brought up Ron Perlman did not take to the we're going to starve the writers and actors thing. Ron Perlman is like, if you look at his social media, he is very very outspoken about his beliefs.
Yeah.
You know,
and
he's an interesting dude.
So this was also in the chat. Said, I heard a thing where Jimmy Kimmel has been paying out of his pocket to all his writers during the strike.
I think Colbert's doing the same thing.
And I remember last time there was a writer's strike, Seth, what's his last name?
Seth Meyers.
Seth Meyers, thank you. He did the same exact thing last time there was a writer's strike.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if he's doing it this time.
A lot of the late night guys do for as long as they can afford to.
Yeah. I mean, that's what makes them their money. Half their show is off of those writers' backs.
Yeah.
So
I think that honestly, the AMPTP, and again, I would pay money to be a fly on the wall inside the AMPTP's board meetings, because of some of the stuff that we've heard coming out, right? I think their concern is they've got a lot of movies coming. Like they just had The Haunted Mansion, and it did not do well its opening weekend. And a lot of it, I think they're afraid because when they did the big red carpet was right after the SAG strike started, and so they literally had to be like, we'll take characters from the theme parks and have them walk down the red carpet, and that's our plan.
Yeah, because the picket line extends to the red carpet, because all of that is a promotion.
Exactly, and the actors can't do it, and they've got some big films coming out that if you don't have actors, right? If you don't have actors out there at press junkets, and that's the other thing too, and this is again another reason, like a lot of people don't think they're connecting the dots with the WGA. The first thing that happened when the WGA shut down is the late night TV shows shut down. Well, here's the thing: a big piece of their press, of their promotional tours when they do these big films is they stick the actors on the late night shows on Kimmel, especially if you're Disney.
Oh yeah.
Right? Because they own Kimmel. Right? You put them on Kimmel, Colbert, Myers, all these guys as part of your promotional run so that you get the normies into these films, into these Marvel movies, into these other movies. And I think that they're terrified right now. They need to get these late night shows back up and running so they can do proper promotions for a lot of these films that are about to drop.
And
it's
now
bad
the unfortunate part for the AMPTP is that they also need to get the SGA on board as well, because I think a lot of those talk show hosts being actors are also...
They're both. Yeah, I know
members.
Colbert's in the WGA and SAG. I think Kimmel is too, because he's done some stuff. Promotional runs is something they aren't going to AI anytime soon, and that's just it. It's like...
Last time, if anyone remembers the whole Rampart boondoggle on Reddle, that AMA was hilarious, but also, that's what they are going to try and do again, and it's not going to work for them.
Somebody in the chat asked what I've heard. Basically, what I've heard is it's Netflix and Apple are the problem right now. And again, they're Netflix and Apple are tech companies first, entertainment companies second. That's the thing. Like they're part of the AMPTP and they make films now and they're Hollywood production studios, but they're tech companies first. And part of the problem, the big thing that SAG is fighting about right now, one of the big things SAG's fighting for is residuals for streamers are crap, right? It's not like the old days, and there's been a lot of actors, I encourage you to go out and look at it, who've talked about when it was broadcast cable and broadcast television, it was a 22-episode season, and once you got into syndication and with the commercial rights and everything else, when you'd see episodes of Law and Order on TNT, that's the stuff that paid actors between gigs, right? And that's how they make their money, is all on the back end.
You remember a bit ago when Black Widow came out and then went to streaming way faster.
And Scarlett Johansson, well, that wasn't even very faster. They just dumped it on streaming in the pandemic.
Same time,
and she sued Disney.
Yeah, I think that was the real start.
That's probably the start of it.
That's what led to our current.
She sued Disney, and they ended up settling out of court. And I'm sure because a lot of these guys, a lot of these guys make all their points on the back end. It's what the box office is. So they get a smaller check up front, and it's like, okay, once we get to box office, I get this many points on the back end of what the box office makes. And when you dump it straight to streaming, that money goes away. So she sued Disney again. I'm sure what Disney did was they were like, and here's a check. We're sorry. Here's $10 million. Be quiet.
Please keep being Black Widow for us.
Yeah, well, she's dead now.
Well,
which
yeah.
Sucks. That's why show getting to episode 100, I think, was such a big deal. So part of that, too, is actually for the studios. And you can go back, and Sorkin talks about this. A bunch of these guys talk about this. Broadcast network television didn't used to make money until they got to episode 100. They would be losing money, right, for the first 4 seasons.
Yep.
And it wasn't until they got to syndication, which is generally 100 episodes, and could start moving it to other networks and selling rebroadcast rights to other networks, that's where shows really started making money. That was why syndication was such a big deal.
Yeah. That's why you also hear, starting in seasons like 5, actors start making more and more and more per episode.
I'm going to jump to this topic really quick because it's kind of related to what we're talking about now.
All right.
So somebody in the chat was like, with the U.S. not having royalty like a lot of the European Union, essentially Hollywood celebrities acting in lieu of royalty, do you think celebrities will eventually lose their notoriety if cinema goes to streaming?
Ooh.
I think that's already started.
Yeah, but no, I don't think it's because of streaming.
No, I don't think it's just because of streaming. I think streaming probably has an impact on it.
Maybe a tiny one, but I think the real reason that we're seeing celebrities lose their notoriety isn't because of cinema going to streaming, but because the actor pool is so diluted now, and it's so easy to get good actors that can act well in these parts. And you don't have the same draw for like George Clooney.
It's not
anymore.
like 30 years ago where a star, if you stuck Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan into a romantic comedy, that thing was going to gross fucking 8 times its budget.
Yeah.
Okay? That's just not the case anymore. Case in point is Black Adam. Like, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's one of the biggest movie stars on the planet. Mm-hmm. He did Black Adam. It made crap. Yep. I think that I think our concept of fame has changed. And if I was going to say what did it more, I would say YouTube.
Yes. YouTube and the influencer community.
Micro celebrity has whittled away at macro celebrity, I think, probably a lot over the last 10 years.
Yeah.
You can get, and the chat saying we want good stories, and that's just the truth. Again, they did, again, movie stars don't do this. In fact, I'm going to check something really quick. So there was a movie that came out earlier this year. What was that called? I'm trying to remember. It was out earlier this year. The Last Duel. Okay, and everybody in the chat is going to go, "What? What's this movie?"
I'm also going, "What? What's this movie?"
Okay, it wasn't this year. Exactly. Nobody saw this movie. Okay, it made $30 million at the box office.
Yeah.
Right.
But that just means that it's gonna win all of the Emmys, right?
No.
That's
It made $30 million at the box office. Here's the cast: Jodie Comer, Adam Driver, Matt Damon, Ben Affleck. Right? Like, this had some major celebrities in it. Nobody saw this movie.
Never even heard of it.
Right.
Until you just said the name of it.
Right.
I still don't even remember the name of the movie now. Last of Us? What?
It's The Last Duel.
Oh, The Last Duel.
Yes. So the point that I'm making is that concept and story, I think, is what drives people to the movies, right?
Yeah.
The Dungeons and Dragons film is a great example of this, right? Chris Pine. Like, who else was in that? Hugh Grant, right?
It was weird, the people that show up in movies now.
Right. Justice Smith, Chris Pine, Michelle Rodriguez, that Regé Page, who just came off the Bridgerton show, right? Huge show, right? Nobody went and saw that movie, right? Nobody saw it, right? It didn't matter that Chris Pine was headlining it, right? I really truthfully believe that, with rare exception, movie stars don't draw people to things. Last Duel was Ridley Scott? Yes, it was Ridley Scott. That's my point. Like, Methuselah Gamer, you were one of 8 people who saw that movie. I'm not being literal, but with 30.6 million at the box office, that's probably, what is that? Probably I'm 8 with million people.
Methuselah on this one. You know, give me something entertaining that I don't have to think too hard about, and I'm in. That said, I do enjoy some more thought movies. I mean, I really enjoyed Barbie, which was very heavy-handed in its
and I think it was going to be,
but it was
kind
still
of the point.
Great.
I tell people this all the time. There's 2 types of movies, and I put movies into 2 basic categories, right? And it's like a Venn diagram. There's a crossover, right? There's a crossover here. There is great films that are great films, and then there's entertaining movies. And again, there's some overlap where it's both a great film and an entertaining movie.
Right.
There are movies that I have seen that are great films that I will never ever watch again because they make me sad.
And then there's movies that are terrible just all around, period, end of discussion.
Yeah. Do I think it's COVID recovery related or more about folks not wanting to go to the movies? People are going to the movies.
People are 100% going to the movies.
People are 100% going to the movies.
People want to go to the movies.
Super Mario Brothers made $1.3 billion. Billion dollars.
Not only that,
at the box office.
The movie experience has changed. And I think a lot of what we're seeing ties to technology and information, right? Because now, why did people go to the movies to see a Tom Hanks movie? Because you knew Tom Hanks was a great enough actor that he could just dissolve into the movie and you could be in the movie. But now, with all of the information that we have and all the technology, it's so easy to get an acting coach right in your home. It's so easy to get a home theater right in your home. It's so easy to get all of this stuff that it elevates everything. And when that happens, and you see this flood, you start seeing those big names not be as big of names, or there's just so many that it washes them all out. But then people go to the movie theater not for the old movie theater experience, because that was all crap and we all hated it. But the new experience where there's reserved seating, it's stadium seats, they're reclining, right? They put money into these theaters in order to try and keep you there and give you good food and drink and everything else to mimic or do better than what your home theater could do.
So to anybody who says nobody's going to the movies anymore, between Barbie and Oppenheimer, which both released the same day, they've both been out for 12 days. 12 days. Between the two of them, they have made $1.2 billion in 12 days.
People want to go to the movies.
Barbie has made $795 million worldwide. It's made $366 million domestically. Oppenheimer is at $412 million worldwide, $181 million domestic. People want to go see the movies. Again, somebody in the thing mentioned Mario. The only thing that saved it was, here's the thing. The thing that saved it was kids wanting to go see it multiple times with their parents. Right? It did $1.3 billion. I don't know if Barbie's going to beat it. It's going to be tough to say. I don't know what kind of legs it's going to have. But
who knows?
Who knows? It's going to be close. Barbie's definitely going to beat them. It's going to definitely be in the number 2 spot this week. It only has $50 million to go to beat Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, which made 845.3. it's people are going to the movies, you know. I think people again, but I also think that you're not gonna see You've Got Mail or When Harry Met Sally or those kind of films at movie theaters anymore. You're just not very often. Okay, what you're gonna see is you're gonna see Oppenheimer. You're gonna see Barbie. People when they go to the theaters, it's become more experiential. It's like a cost or it's like a concert now, right? It's a show you're going to.
Yeah.
It's experiential, right? And so when you have something like Oppenheimer, something like Barbie, something like Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, Guardians of the Galaxy, those are the films that do well in theaters because, again, seeing it on the big screen is a different experience, right?
Yeah. Well, and that translates to everything that's entertainment these days. Taylor Swift, you know, I just read she has 24 semi-trucks that take her stage and everything that she uses from place to place to place, which is why she only does weekends and stadiums at this point. It's because there's so much.
I mean, hell, John Wick Chapter 4 made $426 million at the box office this year.
Yeah.
Right? You know, I would love to go to the drive-in, but it's hard to get there. Award fodder movies. Yeah, that's a thing.
Yep.
Yeah, and look, I'm not bagging on anybody who wants to wait for streaming or wait for at-home watching. Please do not think that I am trying to yuck your yum. Okay, for sure, not what I'm trying to do. There are movies that I wait for streaming to see.
Oh, all the Marvel movies are streaming for me at this point.
No, also because again, like Guardians 3 was such a visual spectacle that I wanted to see that one in theaters. Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse I saw in theaters because it's a visual spectacle. But I definitely understand not wanting to be in a packed theater and not wanting to deal with people. One of the things that's actually come out the last few days with the Barbenheimer thing is there has been a renewed discussion on social media about theater etiquette.
Oh, has there been?
Oh yeah, no, I've been seeing a lot of discussions. There was one where I saw this lady was talking about how this woman got mad because the theater staff wouldn't help her after 3 people dumped water on her head for having her cell phone up during a showing of Barbie, like this.
Well, sure, that makes sense. Like, although I'm surprised they didn't kick her out instead.
Well, apparently the theater goers did it for them.
Yeah.
It's brought about a renewed discussion about what is okay in theaters.
Yeah. I don't like. I'm weird this way, I think, but I don't like going to a show and seeing all of the phones and everything, and just people are, instead of watching the stage, they're watching the stage through their phone.
So there's another lot of times we've riled up the chat. Bring your children.
Oh yeah.
As somebody who has a child, right? I will say this: there are showings, and I am very specific about this. So, as somebody who both wants to see movies without children present, and somebody who has a kid, it's expectations management. If I'm bringing my kid, who's 8 and gonna ask questions and do that, to a 1:30 p.m. showing, right? A matinee showing of Spider-Man. Look, I'm going to keep her under control and I'm going to tell her to be quiet and I'll whisper. But your expectations. Now, where I as an adult will get mad is if I'm going to see an 8:45 p.m. showing of an R-rated movie, right? Like an Oppenheimer, and you bring your 4-year-old, now I'm judging you.
Yeah. No,
as a fellow parent, I am judging you.
That's not okay.
Okay.
Yeah, that movie is way too advanced for them. They're not going to catch any of the plot. No.
Bring back drive-in theaters. I've talked to a bunch of people about this. The issue with drive-in theaters, and I love them. Okay. I have great memories as a child of going to drive-in theaters. I absolutely adore them. The biggest problem with drive-ins is how much freaking space they take up. Okay.
It's a parking lot.
It's a lot of land. And again, probably going to do better in a different climate than here.
Well, not
because there's probably 4 months out of the year that you can actually run a drive-in theater here.
Not only that, But all the different equipment that you need for it, for the sound and everything. Although you could argue that you could do like Bluetooth through a radio station or something.
So the last
But
one I went to,
it's so hard to prevent piracy for those because of the size of the screen that you'd need, and then you'd need to build some walls up for it to prevent that piracy.
Yeah, most of them I saw
general,
use trees basically, like tall trees to block the thing. I don't know how Blue Fox does it. I've been meaning to go there. I just haven't had a chance. But the theater I went to as a kid, even this was back in the 90s, they had, instead of the little speaker boxes that you put on your window, they had a cable, and you hooked it to your car antenna.
Oh.
And then you tuned your freaking radio to a specific frequency
Okay.
that wire was transmitting on,
That's a good way to
and
do
it just played through your car speakers.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, that's awesome. Because, yeah, I was thinking about, like, if you do it through Bluetooth or radio, but then you've got an audio delay. But if you're doing that, there's no audio delay.
Wired, yep.
Because it's essentially wired.
Okay,
that's awesome.
so we hit that topic. So I'm going to delete that one. All right. Next topic. One of the things that we're doing with our community stuff, obviously we had Other Taylor, and if you haven't checked out some of the stuff, you can watch that live stream on YouTube, and also clips of that will be going out over the next few days for, what's it called? When Magic Taylor, our in-house Magic Judge, came in, we did a bunch of stuff with him, and we talked about stuff that he knows from his industry. People asked him about being a teacher and things like that. Well, Mr. Brandon Victor works in the video game industry and has for a long time.
Yeah.
So Brandon, you work in the video. How long have you worked in the video game industry?
Oh, geez. It's been about 15 years now.
Okay.
Something like that. Yeah. I got into E3 back in 2004 under an industry badge.
Okay, so that was 19 years
free.
ago.
Yeah. Yeah. So
a minute now.
Yeah, a little bit. It's been a bit.
And you've stayed kind of in that industry for a long time.
Yeah.
And pretty much consistently since then. And you've worked on a lot of different types of games, different types of consoles, PC,
I've worked
everything.
on a lot of stuff, just tons.
Would it be fair to say like the gamut, like mobile, console, PC, kind of everything?
Yeah, not as much in mobile, but a lot with PC and console.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah.
Actually, we'll have Chad ask that. Is there any games you can disclose that our chat would know that you have worked on in the past?
So there's NDAs, of course, so I can't talk about some of it, especially that's recent.
Yeah.
But I can talk about, I worked at Nintendo a long time ago.
Okay.
Right? So I've worked on the very first title that I worked on was called Fire Emblem Radiant Dawn.
I remember Fire Emblem.
Yeah, that was for the Wii. And that game sticks in my mind just because it was so much fun, and then it came back because it was broken.
Mm-hmm.
There was a problem with the first edition that went out where it would just hard lock people's consoles.
Mm-hmm.
It would just crash them. Which at that time, when that happens with your Wii, it makes this awesome and doesn't do anything until you just like pull the power cord out of it. So that was fun.
Would you say overall that the industry has evolved good, bad, kind of neutral, kind of stayed the same?
I think it's evolved for the better. And here's why, right? Back in the day, geez, I forget how old I am. Back in the day, it was so cowboy in terms of how everything was run, right? Nowadays, there's a lot of business. There's, we're talking about Microsoft and Activision and mergers and acquisitions and all of that.
It's become much more structured,
Yeah,
the development of games.
There's more of a structure. It's not fully structured, but there's more of a structure. But, in the olden days, even when we're talking about the Wii, that era, PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3, there was some semblance of business, right? You had EA and them trying to do business. They were the real drivers on some of that, although in bad ways, but still they were drivers in that. Everything else was very much, there's no standards, there's no a lot of things. Consoles have been a real driving force for standards. Every console has a certification program for their games.
Which kind of goes all the way back to Nintendo, who invented the first, after the Atari collapse.
Yeah.
Nintendo really, it was that seal, right?
That seal
going all the way back to the NES, but they were the first one that
too much.
Yeah,
but yeah.
But they were the ones that went, hey, we're gonna have a standardization process before we start releasing games, because they didn't want to have another Atari mess.
Yeah.
Where everybody freaking who was it? Like the Quaker Oats people were making video games back during the Atari days.
Yeah. Anyone could make a game and send it to Nintendo or Atari or whoever, right? And get it through whatever process that needed to be made to get carts made of it, right? I mean, E.T. exists.
There was a Domino's game that featured the Noid.
Yes, avoid the Noid.
I love that.
I saw it speedrun at GDQ.
Nice.
1 year. That was fun.
What was that? What console was that on? It was a 99 for DOS.
Yeah.
It came out in 1989 for DOS. And there was the Domino's Pizza video game.
So a thing about Avoid the Noid, they had the whole Noid campaign, and it went away because there was, I believe his name was Peter Noid or something like that, and he sued him.
They were bringing back the Noid not too long ago.
Well,
anytime Domino's wants to distract
times have
everybody.
changed now, but
so you kind of hinted about this in some of our previous segments when we were talking about unionization in the entertainment industry.
yes,
Obviously, there's been a huge push for a long time.
yep,
I've seen a lot of talk about it in the people I know in the video game industry about unionization, but it never seems to quite grab.
it's happening now though.
Why do you think it's taken so long for them to kind of get to this point?
Well, first of all, it's so cowboy, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the first thing. But for the longest time, it was very much the people who worked on a game were contractors. Everyone was contract.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, this goes back to the original Microsoft days, where there was a lawsuit because there were so many contractors, and that's all they were, that there was a lawsuit saying, hey, I've been here for 7+ years. I'm an employee, but I don't get employee things. And so there was a lawsuit, and it created this whole time on, time off thing to really make people
the time that I
contractors.
interviewed there as a contractor for Xbox, and this was many, many years ago,
Yeah.
that was one of the things they told you was that unless you get converted to FTE after your first contract, it was a minimum 60-day break.
Now it's 18/6. So 18 months on, 6 months off for Microsoft. Nintendo, every year you have to take 2 months off. And that's the way it is throughout the industry with contractors. So a lot of that has been getting to the point where legal teams are saying, no, you need to stop hiring as many contractors. So then they started getting more full-time employees. And that gets more benefits. But especially in the US, where 49 out of 50 states are at-will states, Montana being the one that's not. It's got a little asterisk on there, which is weird. I never thought it would be Montana. But it's so easy to go, cool, we're done with the game, layoffs.
And then, so I have an acquaintance who's been in the industry for a long time. He worked on the BattleTech, the last BattleTech video game series and things like that. And that's something that he told me, and he actually got out of video games a few years back because he would tell me, he's like, look, you get onto a project, and you're there for 14, 18, 24 months, and the minute the game ships, 80% of the people, the FTEs, who were on that project are just laid off.
Yep. FTEs cost more money.
And then they just rehire people for the next project as they need them.
Yeah, exactly.
And it made it super, super, very
that's
high
the way it
highs,
goes.
very low lows.
That's why some of these more cyclical games are a lot better for the industry in terms of people working.
The ones that release yearly or bi-yearly.
Yeah, you may hate the fact that there's a Madden game every year, or that
but it's
there's
keeping some people employed.
a Call of Duty every year, but it's keeping those teams employed all year round, right? Because there's always, hey, this one's done. We now have our continuing team moving on to that, whereas everything else moves somewhere else. Yeah, EA being so big is great because they've got all these new projects that are just in the pipeline, and they can just move to start doing a new project.
Whereas smaller studios just they don't have that capability.
Exactly, yeah.
So do you think that, I know you said that they're starting to push for it, do you think that I know within tech, one of the ways they've kept unions at bay is they've ensured that they are paying just enough, right? And I'm saying not bad, but they're like, look, man, you make the low six figures. Do you really want to unionize and give up that and da-da-da-da? And they pay them enough where it disincentivizes. It's not like UPS drivers or other things where, you really need this union to get wages that are even going to feed your family. Whereas with video games, again, a lot of the times they're like, we're going to pay you enough to where it's just not, you're not incentivized to get a union.
That's not actually true. It really depends on where you are, though, in the video game industry.
So I know QA is one of the areas that have been talking a lot about unionizing because a lot of QA tester people who are very good at their jobs do not get paid very much.
Correct. I'm a manager for a QA department, and we're third party. So, we don't work on our own stuff, which is why I can't talk a lot about stuff. But the way that I like to describe it is there's a passion tax, right? Video games is something that everyone wants to get into. How do you get in? Well, you could be a programmer, but that requires, there's a gate for that because of all this schooling and the skills required for that. Game design, again, same thing. Art, again, same thing. You need all of these skills and degrees in order to get into all of those. What do you not need a degree to get into? And in fact, can get into if you only have a high school diploma.
QA.
If that, QA. Because we'll take anyone and we'll teach you. And,
And like you said, there's a passion. I actually really like that term. Because I know, not just in video games, but in a lot of ancillary specifically geek industries like tabletop RPGs, board game design, stuff like that. Like you look at what even the big companies pay for a developer for like a tabletop RPG. They don't pay very well. And again, like you said, there's a passion tax because it's like, look, if you don't take it, there's 150 mofos behind you who will.
All I have to do is wait until, July, and high school gets out. There's another graduating class.
And there's a fresh batch of 18, 19-year-olds who would love to be QA.
They would love to be QA, and, all they want to do is play games all day, which it's not playing games all day. QA is not playing games all day. There's a lot of work behind it, but that's what everyone thinks it is. And so, companies can charge peanuts for it to the point where minimum wage catches up to what they're paying. Nintendo tries to be good about staying ahead of minimum wage. A couple others do that as well. Others, not at all. They just go, what's minimum wage? Great, that's what we're paying. And I think in the last 5 years, we've started seeing a lot more respect for QA in the industry, just in general. But QA is where it's going to start, where unionization is going to start, and there's going to be one of those unions. They're going to get their claws in.
Start with one of the bigger companies, like an EA
they're
or
going to start up
something like that.
Yeah,
Ubisoft.
One of the Montreal branch of my company is talking about it.
There you go.
So
it's going to come. So if there was one thing you could change about the video game industry writ large, like suddenly Brandon Victor is the God Emperor of video games, what is the one thing you would change about the industry?
I mean, I would get rid of the passion tax. Honestly, like
Which I
that's
think
the-
also comes in the case of working conditions, because you hear a
Yeah.
lot about crunch at the developer level. And I know I've heard of it at the QA level too, where when you're getting close to a launch and you're still hitting game-breaking bugs, like
Yeah,
You're not leaving.
The crunch is horrid. And a lot of that is they're putting a release date, so far back in time. They're saying this is when we're going to release. And it's sometimes it's not feasible, and you end up with Cyberpunk. And sometimes it is feasible, and you've got developers really polishing something, and you get a really nice game. So, removing, I think to fix a lot of it, if you remove street dates being released as early as they are, that could solve a lot of problems.
you're running into marketing issues there, which sucks.
Yeah.
You're running into huge market. Yeah, it sucks. Well, I'm curious to see how the industry is going to keep developing. It's fascinating to me.
It'll be interesting.
All right. Quick chat topic. What's your favorite Legend of Zelda game?
Ooh. Link to the Past. The one on Super Nintendo.
Okay.
It's my favorite. I'm not a big fan of the 3D Zeldas.
Okay, that's fair.
The control schemes just don't mesh with my brain. But the 2D Zeldas are so much fun. And then, there's a randomizer for A Link to the Past that has just made it even more fresh, and it's just super fun.
For me, it's got to be Ocarina of Time.
Yep, I get that.
I loved Ocarina of Time, right? I loved Navi. Hey, listen. Hey, listen. Hey, listen. Hey, watch out.
Hey. There's
So
a speed run of Ocarina of Time where you have to stand in one place for like 5 hours.
how's that a speed run?
Because it gets you through this gate.
That's not a speed run.
I don't know.
All right, I'm gonna have to look that one up. Okay, I've only played Breath of the Wild. Wow.
I haven't played Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom.
So Tears of the Kingdom, there's too much building. I would never stop. Like I would never beat the game. That's my problem. We talked about this on the show before.
Oh, that's
would
me
never
in Fallout.
I would never beat the game because, Starfield's going to be hard for me because now with all the settlements and everything else that you can build, I'm going to be like, time to build my giant fortress on this planet I found. That's going to be.
I just hope they bring Preston Garvey back in for.
There we go.
He's got to tell me about the settlements.
All right. Okay, that one is done. Brandon, in the world of trivia, and this will actually lead to our trivia section.
All right.
All right, we got a couple of these. In the world of trivia, let's start with this one. What trivia topic do you wish you could do that you never have?
Ooh. So because I do a lot of trivia in bars, and that's what it's all really geared for, there's not a lot of nerd trivia that comes from it. Not a lot of stuff about things that we talk about all the time at the store. I would love to do a trivia topic about Kamen Rider, but that's because I'm a big Kamen Rider guy.
You're like, I can do 10 questions on Kamen Rider alone.
I could, that is, so really that Super Sentai,
that kind of stuff.
You don't really see anything about it.
Okay.
So,
with that being said, how do you come up with your content? How do you keep it fresh without burning out all your material?
The trivia that I do now, it's all being done through a third-party company, right, called Chief Entertainment. And they have trivia and karaoke and a whole bunch of other nightlife stuff in different bars. And they're the ones who I get all of the trivia questions through. And they get them from another company that all they do is churn out questions in various categories. It's kind of what Jeopardy does. Jeopardy has a team of people that they just go through and come up with questions and research them and make sure they're right. And then eventually they get picked to go up on the board at Jeopardy. So it's kind of the same sort of thing. When I come up with my own trivia questions, because every so often for the store I'll come up with one, I keep a list of all the things that I've done. I've for the store I've done a picture round for anime ships. I've done I've done some other trivia that I've put together where I've got like a Serenity Firefly category and some other stuff like that. And really it's just, as I go through, I have all my questions in a like an Excel sheet, and I control F. Have I talked about this? Yeah, okay. Then I go on to something else. And sometimes it's really easy to come up with just...
Yeah, somebody just bringing up that you did video game music during one of the store trivia nights.
Yes.
And I remember that one because I remember hearing all that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, and we did, I think, Pixar films was one of the audio rounds as well.
Oh, that'd be a good one.
Yeah,
all right.
was a fun one.
So on that topic, the last thing we're going to do today is Brandon actually brought trivia questions with him.
I did. I have trivia questions.
So you all can play in the chat too. All right, but we're gonna sit here and Brandon's gonna do trivia with me. So again, in the chat, you can play trivia with us. So we're gonna do this. This is gonna be our last thing today. It's gonna be me doing trivia and me reminding you we have trivia every other Thursday here at Gamers Heaven PNW. Bing.
Yeah, next Thursday, not tomorrow Thursday, but next Thursday we've got it.
What do we got, Brandon?
All right. Also, I came up with 9 of these questions, and I stole one of them from my current trivia packet. So these are all actual things that the chat may know that won't really show up somewhere. All right. In the original arcade version of Donkey Kong.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I'm going old school.
Now we're going with Jumpman.
Yeah, what is the protagonist's name and occupation?
It was Jumpman.
Yeah.
And he was not a plumber. He was...
Originally, he was unnamed.
Yeah, but Jumpman
and then went to Jumpman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know this occupation. I can't remember.
Ooh. What do we got from the chat?
All right, chat.
Any guesses?
Well, they're going to catch up. You got to remember, they're on the delay after us.
That's true.
Okay. So, which is good, because that means they can't help me. Okay. All right. What's question number 2?
All right. We'll move on to question number 2. I'll give the full answer number 1 afterwards. What does the X in Xbox stand for? Yeah, Sir Laugh-A-Lot got it. Carpenter. He was a carpenter.
That's what I wanted to say. The X in Xbox. Extreme. I mean, it was the late 90s.
No, it's not extreme. It's not experience. I like that.
That's a good. It's a good answer. I'm gonna go xylophone.
It is not xylophone. It's also not experience.
All right.
Oh, all right. So this is a very interesting one. It goes all the way back to so it's not DirectX, but it goes back to the beginnings of DirectX. So the X was the variable X in algebra and whatnot.
Yeah.
And it means anything. It could be anything. So DirectX is anything, right? Because it's input, it's audio, it's
so
video,
cheesy.
it's everything. But Xbox is the everything box, right? The anything box. It can do everything and anything.
Jeez.
So that's what X means in Microsoft world.
Nice. All right. What else we got?
All right. Who was the creator of the Sim series of games? SimCity, Sim Tower, The Sims, etc. Ask Elon.
Are we talking about the publisher?
No, we're talking about the actual creator.
I don't know. I just know it was Maxis.
It was Maxis, and the starter of the person who started the company, though.
You got me.
All right, we'll see if chat gets the name.
All right. Well, I don't trust chat to not just be Googling things.
That's true.
All right, what's our next question?
All right, so the next question, you might get this one. They just recently introduced it to the newest Mario Kart. What does the feather item do in the Mario Kart franchise?
In Mario Kart?
Yeah, the feather item. It showed up in Super Mario Kart, the original one, and then it came out with the booster passes.
want to say it's like a super jump.
Yeah. Yep. And Ryan got it. Ryan got it before you
Make
did.
your cart jump. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't even look at the chat.
Makes your cart jump really high.
Yeah.
It will let you jump over the barriers and whatnot. So you can only use it in battle mode in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe.
That's fun.
But it would even show up in the regular tracks for the original game. The answer to the Sim Series one was Will Wright, by the way.
Oh, there you
Will Wright. Yeah. All right. Here's a fun one. Chuck E. Cheese was originally founded by Nolan Bushnell, who also co-founded what video game company?
Atari.
Yeah,
that one I knew. Because Nolan Bushnell is an interesting character.
Yeah. I figured that would be an easier one.
He's an interesting character to study.
Yeah. Okay, so you'll get this because we talked about it a little earlier. So this one I actually stole from the current events round for this week. In honor of National Mustard Day on August 5th, which August 5th is National Mustard Day, just in case you wanted to celebrate. What candy brand recently partnered with French's to create a mustard-flavored edition of its namesake candy?
Which we did talk about this in the pre-show.
Yeah, we did.
And oh my god. Oh, why would you think that making mustard-flavored?
Mustard-flavored candy, apparently it's really good. People have
Wait, I want to see if they
saying-
get it. Oh, nope, somebody in the chat got it.
Yeah, I see a couple people got it there.
Yep, it is Skittles.
Yeah, it's Skittles.
It is Skittles.
Apparently it's really good.
Nope, sorry. No,
I don't know.
I refuse.
Yeah.
Mustard Kit Kats. Like,
They've done a lot of flavors with Kit Kats.
go to look at Japan. Like,
Yeah,
they
Japanese
do some
Kit Kats
weird
are
stuff.
so good.
All right.
No, it's not a meme. So, okay, the mustard Skittles, they are doing pop-up events on the East Coast, right, and leaving us out of it. Only in 3 cities, though. So Washington, D.C., New York City, and Atlanta, Georgia.
See, ketchup and mustard Mike and Ike's would almost work.
Right? Oh.
That would almost work. All right, what's our next
Put 'em
question?
on a burger, though? Anyway. Okay. What is Sonic the Hedgehog's favorite food?
Chili dogs.
Yeah, chili dogs.
Come on, it's chili
Yeah.
dogs. Everybody knows this.
I gotta throw some easy ones in there, right?
Chili dogs.
Yeah. Okay. I've got a multiple choice one for you here.
Okay.
Which of these currently airing anime series has the highest episode count?
Okay.
One Piece,
Okay.
Detective Conan, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh!
Ooh.
All of them have over 1,000 episodes.
Just because the chat keeps saying One Piece, I'm actually going to say Pokemon.
Ooh. So, One Piece has the fewest of these 4 with 1,070 episodes.
Okay.
There may have been a episode or 2 after I pulled it from the list. But
So somebody said Detective Conan.
Detective Conan is third with 1,105.
Okay.
Yu-Gi-Oh's next with...
I was right!
You were right. With 1,142. And Pokemon is at 1,249.
Because the thing is this has been a continuously running show since I was 15 years old.
Yep. By the way, the most of a currently airing anime series is Doraemon with 3,003 episodes.
Jeez.
The most overall is the Kirin Monoshiri series with 5,928 episodes. It aired from June of 1962 to the very end of December 1984. But they were only 5-minute episodes, so, you know. Yeah,
All right.
that only counts TV episodes, by the way. That does not count movies or anything like that. So,
Nice.
Okay. I've got a real tough one for you.
Okay.
We'll see if you get this one. What anime series universe is battle programmer Shirase in? Yeah, it was a short-lived anime. It had 15 episodes that were 10 minutes long.
I'm just gonna throw out a random
And
one.
it
I'm gonna be like,
exists in a larger universe, very weakly and tangentially, but it's in it.
Robotech?
It's not Robotech.
I have no idea.
I'm not going to tell you this one. I'm going to see if chat figures this one out.
Yeah,
Because
again,
it's also tough to find online. I spent about half an hour confirming the thing I already knew. So I'll leave that for chat and we'll see if they get
that
it.
one's weird.
And then number 10, I don't know if you'll get it. I think chat will get it pretty quick. What is the name of the evil organization that created the original Kamen Riders?
I don't know. Kamen Rider's never been my thing.
Yeah. I know a couple people that would immediately get that. So it's not an SAO spin-off.
Somebody in the chat said Team Rocket. No,
How
Team Rocket did not
did
create
it
Kamen
even
Riders.
get on the radar?
That's funny.
I enjoy programming. That's all right. So the anime series battle programmer Shirase is in is Tenchi Muyo.
Tenchi Muyo?
Yes.
God!
It's in Tenchi Muyo.
Boy, I haven't thought about that anime in forever.
There is a link through one specific character, and it's BPS's I think niece.
Wow.
Yeah. And then the evil organization that created the original Kamen Rider is Shocker.
There you go. See,
Yeah.
and that's what you have to look forward to at Gamers Having Trivia Night. It's trivia fun times like this. This is why we do trivia, because it's fun. All right.
Super fun.
And that's a name I have not heard in a long time. Yeah, Tenchi Muyo. Jeez, I forgot.
Yeah, right.
God, I forgot about Tenchi Muyo.
That's right. You tell him who's boss.
God, when did that come out? When did that come out? All right, we started a bit late today, so I'm willing to stay a little longer. So if you have anything else that y'all want to talk about, go ahead and drop it in the chat.
I mean, I'll talk about mustard-flavored Skittles some more.
1994 for the manga.
Yeah. Well, and there's like, their timelines go like A, B, C, D, E, F for their different continuities, and they're all over the place. War on Geminar.
Mid-90s, jeez.
Yeah, War on Geminar was another Tenchi Muyo one that is tangentially
Who does number
related.
2 work for? You have to give us more context, I think, on that one.
No, that's a Austin Powers
That's why I was like, I'm like, is it the Austin Powers? Like,
yeah,
what's the
you tell 'em,
craziest
buddy.
thing that's ever happened when you were doing trivia?
Ooh, craziest experience. I usually do it in bars, so there's drunk people.
Yeah.
I had one of the answers that I gave to a question. I had two people. Get so heated, I had to break them up. We almost got into a fist fight.
Jeez.
Yeah.
We need Gamers Having Trivia Show. That would be fun. Look, if I can get some investors in here and do this stuff, like, I would love to be like running a fucking channel network like 24 hours a day, like full on. Like, I would be doing it. All right. Talk about the new edition of the store. Yes.
Yes.
The
I just got to see it today.
Yeah. So the Goshpar machines have been installed. They look really, really cool.
They do. They look so awesome.
It's really, really fun. So come in, check out the new Gashapon machines. There's a bunch of, there's Hatsune Miku, there's a bunch of Pokemon, there's Spy Family. Spy X Family. Like, there's some really good stuff in the Gashapon machines. So come in and check those out. They're very bright. Very, very bright. And that also means that I got to continue the moving stuff around in the store today. That's another thing that's happening today. All right. Brandon, thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, Alex.
I hope you had a good time.
I did. It's been an absolute pleasure.
All right. So we're going to do more of these community-based streams and stuff like that. Maybe we'll have Brandon back another time, and he could do some different trivia stuff with us. This would actually be a fun segment to do every so often, would be a trivia segment. In the meantime, we love you guys all. Come see us today. We open at 3 o'clock. GamersHeavenPNW.com. We're constantly updating the event schedule. There's always stuff going on. Commander Masters this weekend. We got a bunch of drafts going. We have a store championship going. Gashapon.
Gashapon.
Yeah, Gashapon. But thank you all for joining us. Oh, I just bumped the desk, which makes me go blah, 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 blah. Just like I'm in a freaking earthquake. All right. We will talk to y'all later. Bye.
Right. Bye, everyone.